Hello, this is Julie Hogue with the Vegetarians and Meat Lovers Split Table Recipes podcast, where I talk about cooking, especially cooking for a split table. What's that mean? That means people at the table have multiple diets. In particular, for my podcast, I focus on vegetarian and meat eaters trying to eat a meal together. Oh, how does that work? Hey, you know what? I've been doing it for a really long time, and it's not that hard. So I call it kind of hybrid cooking. It's a hybrid recipe. And I just coined this term years ago when I made my cookbook, One Dish, Two Diets. And it's something that I continue to do. It's a way of cooking. And it's really not that hard. It's a mindset. It's just thinking about cooking in a different way. How can I make this work? And I do it all the time. So this is Veggie Lovers Spaghetti Bake. And it is a hybrid recipe. You could make it meatless or full meat if you want. It's pretty easy. So this has a lot of veggies in it and spaghetti, and then you bake it. Okay, so there's a lot of prep work that goes into this as far as getting the veggies ready and cooking the pasta. But then once you put it all together and pop it in the oven, boom, it's nice. Because then it cooks, and then you take it out, and then you eat it. So the work is all up front, and then it cooks, and it's ready. So it's one of those dishes you can do where if you have things you have to do, you can do it prep. If you have time to do the prep work early on, it's a good dish to do because then it cooks and then it's just ready. When you take it out of the oven, it's like, boom, there, it's all done. So this one, I've actually done a couple of different ways. I have mixed out the veggies, and I'll give you one way first, and then I'll give you some substitutions that I have done. Okay, so what are you going to need? You're going to need broccoli, and I take raw broccoli, this isn't like super stickler, maybe like a cup and a half of broccoli. It's not like it's a big deal. It doesn't have to be exact. And you're going to steam that broccoli, okay? You're going to set that aside. You're going to chop up one red pepper, and you're going to take one of those bigger containers of white mushrooms. You could do smaller if you want, but I generally do the bigger one. And then one medium onion chopped up, and they're going to need 6 medium tomatoes. And this is really fun. You're going to get to roast them. I'll get to that in a few minutes. And then you need a box of spaghetti, and you don't really need the full. In fact, it probably won't fit in the 9x13 pan if you use the full 1 pound. So I'd say about 12 ounces or take some out. You don't need the full because it's not all going to fit. And then you're going to also use 9 cloves of minced garlic and a 25-ounce jar. I more likely use jars. Jar of pasta sauce, marinara, or whatever you want to use. That's kind of variable as well. 1 teaspoon salt, 2 teaspoons dried basil, 1/2 teaspoon pepper, 1 3/4 cup grated Parmesan cheese, 2 cups shredded mozzarella cheese, and olive oil. Olive oil is to cook those veggies so that they're soft. Most of the time, you do want to cook those veggies before you put them in your pasta bake because they may not get fully cooked. So they might be crunchy, especially onions. So I tend to pre-cook those. Now, this is fun. You get to roast those potatoes. Potatoes! Oh my, why do they have to make it rhyme? Tomatoes! We take the tomatoes and you toss them with olive oil. And so the olive oil is also for that. I have to add that in. So I do maybe 2 tablespoons of olive oil to toss the tomatoes with. And then the other, maybe it's a tablespoon or 1/2 tablespoon to cook the other veggies. So what you're going to do is you're going to take these tomatoes, you're going to toss them in a bowl with the olive oil. And then you're going to put them on your cookie sheet, and you're going to roast them at 400 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes, depending on how big your tomatoes are. I've done this with little tomatoes and medium tomatoes. One time I had to use a big one. It still worked. So then you're going to put them in a single layer on the pan, and you're going to cook them until they start to wilt, and they'll get a crack in their skin. They'll get cracks in their skin, and that's how you know they're ready. And this is the fun part. You get to take them out and smush them. Smush them. Bing, boom, slap. You get to take your spatula and you squish those suckers. You smush them down. That's what you do. And they squish flat. You get to bam them. And so you're also going to have your oven heated to 400 degrees. And then you're going to cook your pasta. right? And if it is the full amount, maybe take some out because it's probably not going to fit unless you use a smaller container of mushrooms. In my experience, that much pasta isn't going to fit. So you cook it to al dente on the box, and then you set it aside. So in your large skillet, you're going to take that olive oil and you're going to cook those onions, mushrooms, a bell pepper, and then you're going to add your garlic, dry basil, salt, pepper, and you're going to cook that all up and stir it. And so it's going to be good. It's going to be good. And then you're going to stir it all together. It's really that easy. Your sauce, your veggie mixture with the herbs, and your pasta, and your smushed roasted tomatoes. You get to smush stuff. That's fun. Okay, so then you're going to stir it all up, and then you're going to put it in a pan, and I usually use 9x13 glass dish. And then you're going to put your cheese in there as well. So your cheeses go in there too, so you're going to stir it all together with the cheeses. And you do retain a little bit of the cheese mixture if you want to put it over the top. Or you can mix it all in. I've actually done it both ways. And so then when you have it all mixed up and you put it in your greased pan. Now, I do like to use coconut oil, so let's throw that back in the ingredients. Use a little bit of coconut oil to grease it. You don't have to use that, but that's often what I like to do. It works good. And then you're going to, if you saved some of that cheese, you put that over the top, and then you bake it at 425 degrees. For me, it's been anywhere from like 40 to 60 minutes, and just when it's bubbling, right? Like you're going to see it like bubbling on the sides, it's done. And so then you can take it out and eat it. That's it. That's all you need to do. Now, when I've done different things with this, if I've switched out things, like if I didn't use broccoli, I used about 4 to 6 cups of spinach. And of course, then you're going to wilt your spinach. You can cut off the stems. Oh, who bothers to cut them off? I see that in recipes and I'm like, do you really sit there with the knife and cut off the spinach stems? Just break them with your fingers. This is ridiculous. You do not need a knife for this, okay? We sit there and do little surgery on all the knives. No, just rip those suckers off. Just rip them off with your fingers. Don't be all ridiculous and particular like a little surgeon. No, rip those puppies off. You don't need those stems. I don't like the stems because it gets kind of stringy. And so when you take the stems off the spinach, it's less stringy. And then the other things I've done, let's see, green pepper instead of red pepper. That's kind of a no-brainer. I've also done zucchini. You can do zucchini in, and I guess if you're going to do more of other vegetables, take out other vegetables. Maybe you don't do mushrooms and you do zucchini. That's the thing you could do. I have used small cherry tomatoes for this. They're not as fun to smush, though. You got to get the big ones so you can smush those big suckers. Get that spatula, splat, make them flat. And I got to mention this. The other night I did this. I did the roasted tomatoes thing. And I did it on pizza. I made a margarita pizza. Ooh, it was so good. And the really cool thing is, if you're going to do this, they're really juicy. So what you're going to want to do is leave them in the pan and scoop out those smushed potatoes. See, I'm doing it again. Tomatoes with a fork. So you leave a lot of that moisture on the cookie sheet. And then you can put it on your cheese on your pizza. Another way you could do it is scoop those out, maybe put them on a paper towel so they can soak more out. And they can be a little bit more dry. So that was a really good addition. If you haven't tried that on pizza, you should. It's really good, this roasted tomato business. And it also left a lot of the seeds on the cookie sheet when you do this, because when you smush it, the seeds kind of go out with the water. So you get some of the seeds out of the tomatoes when you're going to put them on your pizza that way. So there's a tip for you to do on your next homemade pizza. It's really good. And then I had, basil, because I grow basil in the house. I grow it in outside when it's nice out. And then I pulled it inside, and they're doing okay. They're not doing great, but they're still making basil leaves. And so I used the basil leaves that I had grown. And I also have oregano leaves, which that plant is doing really well. I have no idea why. I added those to my margarita pizza too. That was good. That was a really good addition. So you'll have to try these things. Roasting tomatoes is fun. I got to say that. Because, often when you're cooking with tomatoes, you feel like you have to have like stewed tomatoes, the skin removed. But if you do it this way, you really don't. Like I did not notice the skin. It was cooked down. It was floppy. It just kind of like blended all right in. So in my opinion, it works great. All right. Well, I hope you enjoy this and I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks for listening and check out all my other recipes for more. My website, juliehogewriter.com, and my cookbook, One Dish, Two Diets. I'm also a YA contemporary romance writer if you like those kind of books. I have Cabin Crew and I have Hungry Hearts. So down in podcast show notes, you can find links to my stuff. And thanks for listening. You have an amazing day. Bye-bye now. And I just realized I messed that up. I forgot to talk about the meat. But I'm the vegetarian, so I wasn't thinking meat. But the way I did this to add the meat in, which is totally optional, is I cooked meatballs, frozen meatballs, and I cooked them in the oven, and then I just took them and I pushed them down into the dish. So I did about 2/3 of the dish with the meatballs. And so I just took them, cooked meatballs, and pushed them down into the pasta. It worked great. Fantastic. Easy addition. Easy way to make it hybrid. There you go. Now you have a dish that works for vegetarians and meat eaters, and it's very contained. You're not going to get any kind of meat drift. So it's going to stay where it is. It's a nice little meatball nestled in spaghetti. So it's going to stay put. It's not going to move around. So, woo, I almost forgot the meat. Like that way long time ago. Maybe people who are younger aren't going to know this. So, where's the beef? That commercial. Do you remember that? The woman from Throw Mama from the Train? Where's the beef? Oh, that was so funny. I don't think some of those commercials we just can't forget, right? They're like the memes nowadays. Kids and people remember memes. Well, back when I was a kid, we remembered commercials. And so, where's the beef? That lady. Okay. Thank goodness I remember that because you would have been meatless. Maybe you don't care, but maybe the meat-eating people in your family do. So there you go. That's the solution of how to put meat into this dish. Easy peasy. All right. Have a good day. Bye-bye now.